Hey guys, this is Jay Calder of JAYONBOXING here with a preview and predictions for the Jaron Ennis versus David Avanesyan card. And as always, these are just my takes, of course. Your predictions, your takes, all that stuff can be left down in the comments section below. Would love to hear them all. But before we get started, please be sure to like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. Greatly appreciates and it definitely helps out the channel. So a little bit of show info here. It's going to be headlined by Ennis versus Avanesyan at the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, airing live on DAZN in the welterweight division with Ennis's IBF welterweight title on the line. In the featured fights on the card, we're going to see Henry Lebron taking on Christopher Diaz in junior lightweight action with no title on the line. And of course, SKYE NICOLSON taking on DYANA VARGAS in featherweight action with the WBC featherweight title on the line as well. Now, personally, I was looking forward to Ennis versus Cody Crowley. This was the fight originally planned for this card in this venue. But boxing does what it does, and now we have Ennis versus Avanesyan. Avanesyan is decent, but if Ennis is who most think he is, this is a fight he should be able to handle. The undercard isn't too bad either, particularly like the Lebron versus Diaz fight as well as the NICOLSON versus Vargas bout, so we'll be giving them some quick picks as well. With all that in mind, let's get into some of the biggest questions heading into this card. So the first question is there anything to gain for Jaron Ennis in this fight? This is a tough one to answer in my opinion. Yes, you want Ennis active. He has not been active enough for a fighter of his talent at his age. Still, he needs the right kind of activity at this point in his career. Ennis is at the point where we all want to see his skill and how far it can take him. Can he do what he does against the best? But no one wants to put him through that test as a more established fighter with a bigger name, or at least an equal name. So instead, he has to take what he can find right now, and that's, in this case, Avanesyan. That, however, isn't necessarily the biggest fight for Ennis, and what does it do for him? If he wins as you expect him to, cool. He should. But if he loses or even looks less than expected, people use that as an excuse to duck him for not being the special fighter that many believe he might be. So outside of a highlight reel demolition job, Ennis is in a tricky spot here where he has to be careful with just how he looks in this fight. Second question would be, can this lead to something more for Ennis? Naturally, this has to be the follow-up question, and again, I think it depends on two things. How does the performance go, and what risk is Ennis willing to take? If he puts in that undeniable performance in front of a ton of his fans in his hometown, and it looks like tickets are selling pretty well, then that certainly is going to help him out in the future. He becomes a lot less avoidable. If he falls short of that, it's not necessarily the best look against a limited and late substitution that, again, Ennis should be taken care of. It also depends on what Ennis is willing to do. Is he willing to take short money to get someone to take the chance against him? Will he move up to 154 and fight maybe bigger fighters that think they have a slightly better chance against him? Due to the lack of an established career against the names that you want to see Ennis fight, Jaron might have to roll the dice here and there to make that next step count, as unfortunate as that might be. And the final question is, how well does this fight sell? And I sort of mentioned it there. How well this fight sells can determine how he comes out of this and ultimately how he can potentially lure some opponents to facing him. If Ennis in his hometown as a champion in a nice big arena can move some tickets, it makes his fights matter regardless of the name. If this event doesn't go off well, or if it's half empty and he underperforms, he literally burns his biggest supporters. It makes progressing a ton harder for a fighter looking to break out. So that must be kept in mind as well, but without much more ado, let's break these fights down. And for the main event here with Ennis, we'll start off with the champion. I think it's important he switches up how he attacks. He doesn't want to give David too many chances, so sit back a bit more and make him come to you. As David gets aggressive, give him those angles. Make him miss and then make him pay. Once you start tagging him, then you can step into more of your work. Avanesyan wants to come forward. Disallow that by tagging his approach while also twisting and turning him with your angles. You can even throw in your switch hitting to give him those different looks. A lot of being able to control that distance and the direction of the fight will be that quick, long jab, and the quicker, the better. You don't need to focus on power. The speed will be power for you and will get to him first and lead to the more hurtful stuff later. Just make him feel the shots to start, and you can set those up with that jab. Now, when you are on the inside, a shot that makes sense is the uppercut. David has a high guard, and that shot could be there for you when in closer up the middle. And if he happens to get inside and goes for your body, which he will tend to do, that's a great time to get a bit more out of position for him to land those shots up top, and then you can then land some of those quicker crosses and hooks because his guard will be down as he overcommits to that body sometimes. So use those angles in movement, control the range of the fight with that quick jab, and land that uppercut and big counters on the inside when and if the fight gets there. Now, switching to the underdog challenger here, Avanesyan can be a slow starter. You can't let that happen with Ennis, not in his hometown, not at this point in his career. You have to get inside and make it a fight. The sooner the better. You're decent at switching stances, and perhaps that might help you get in close, just giving them different looks to not be able to tag you clean. You just have to be careful of not getting caught in between those switches. But the different looks could make for an easier entry up close, which is where you want to be. One shot to be mindful of is the left hook, particularly when you're switching or trying to engage. Ennis can definitely throw a solid hook, and it's a shot that can catch you. Be mindful of that because you have been tagged with it before pretty heavily. Still, you are a pressure fighter, so keep that guard up, switch up the stance, and begin ripping to the head and body once inside. Try to push the American back in the process. While you want to land something big, you don't need to load up and telegraph your work, however. You're a bit awkward, you have heavy hands, you're going to want to play into that. Don't worry about loading up. It'll be there for you if you let the punches come a lot more naturally for you. A solid shot for you can be that quick lead backhand you throw as well. You don't load up on it, you don't cock it back, it's just great at getting home, especially if a fighter is trying to back away and doesn't expect it or isn't too mindful of it. So get off to a decent start by getting inside with pressure, be mindful of that left hand, attack the body as you get close, and then let those heavy hands of yours do the work as opposed to trying to force the action. And in terms of my pick here, Avanesyan is going to come and fight. I do believe that, but I think Ennis is legit and will show in this fight that levels do in fact exist. I think Ennis gets off to a fast start and looks to make a statement at home. The right hand, the left hook, and the uppercut inside with quick angles will help punish David. Avanesyan only knows to come forward, and he will, but he will keep walking into shots and eventually will fall to the work coming back. Avanesyan will likely get dropped once or twice, and Ennis is soon the winner when the fight is likely waved off. Winner boots Ennis via mid-fight stoppage. And getting to the quick picks here, first off, we have Henry Lebron taking on Christopher Diaz in junior lightweight action as mentioned. Diaz is a tough dude, and he can definitely counter well and has some pop. He will make it a fight at times, I believe, but I think Lebron will likely be the counterer here, and that will decide this fight. Diaz will be more aggressive and be caught coming in as a result, and the right hand of Lebron will likely be key here. Diaz will be walking in looking to get that work done, and the right hand or the right uppercut for Lebron continues to score and leads to trouble for Diaz. Lebron hurts and drops him with those counters and finishes him off soon thereafter for the win. Winner Henry Lebron via late fight stoppage. And in women's action here, we have Nicholson taking on Vargas in the featherweight division with the WBC title on the line. Nicholson doesn't have great power. We have to be honest about that, but her speed and timing should be enough to defeat Vargas. Vargas is a bit too flat-footed, slower, and is open to the right. She keeps those hands low and also walks into shots. She's just a limited fighter that Nicholson will capitalize on, and particularly with the right hook. SKYE has had some average performances as of late, and I think she looks good in this one, making her foe miss and landing well to try to impress. She might not get the stoppage, of course, but I think SKYE takes a comfortable decision in a solid outing. Winner, SKYE Nicholson via unanimous decision. And in terms of the betting odds, the only odds I've really been able to find are for the Ennis-Avanesyan fight, where you have Ennis coming in at a massive favorite at a minus 1800, with Avanesyan at a plus 1060. You also here have the over-under coming at 6.5 rounds, with the over at plus 105 and the under at minus 135. To me, of course, as most often is the case, the money is in the over-under, and I think it's set pretty well. Before I even knew that line, I thought it was a mid-fight stoppage, and here you go with that line. It's set pretty well, unfortunately. That being said, no matter what side of the fence you fall on, you're getting pretty much heads-up odds. It's pretty even there, so you definitely have some decent selections, but if to make a bet, that's where I would be looking, but in any event, for now, those are your odds. And my prediction record as of this recording is 34-15 with 15 exact, but let me know your thoughts, your bets, your picks, all that good stuff down in the comments. And of course, please be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, follow, and check out all the social media here. And be sure to visit JAYONBOXING.com for schedule, results, betting odds, rankings, and more. And as always, until next time.